Oh, you in Austin? I'm in the Dallas area.
Okay.
Since we're comparing notes, in Jamaica, they have something similar called Jankunu. And it's like a festival related. I think it's somewhat related to Obia or traditional African religious roots. I can look it up for you, but similar.
And that's another part of it. Again, like how we're all so similar. Like here in the States, of course, they do Mardi Gras. And then Emmanuel, you talked about what you do back home in Nigeria. I'm sorry, I forget the name already. And then SJ, you talk about what you guys do in Jamaica. And they all may be different, but they're all a way that we celebrate, and they kind of stem from the same things. We share so much, and I kind of want to make it light just a moment, but like food is the biggest connector, right? As I was talking to SJ, I was talking about greens, and he talked about callaloo, and I was like, that ain't nothing but greens. That's all it is. It's greens. Is it callaloo? Is that the veggie that you use?
Yep.
Okay, we use collards. Yeah.
Yeah, very similar.
Damn thing.
Slow
like
vegetable, yeah.
Jambalaya ain't nothing but,
it's jollof rice.
It's jollof, exactly. It's nothing. Yeah, it's jollof.
It's also palau. Like,
yes.
It's all different variations.
Well, I mean, red beans and rice and peas. Sometimes we use.
I was gonna say that's what upsets me. Sometimes when I hear when I'm in some of these discussions and with some Americans that will say that they aren't from Africa, or that they believe that the slave trade didn't happen, etc. Because you can see the connection. This connection through food, through hairstyles, through all of these things that are from people that have never been to America, people have never been to Jamaica, and we see this connection. People have never been to Nigeria. That clearly this string has to be, going through each of these countries somehow. Mm-hmm. So the idea that there was no slave trade or that you are not also from Africa is wild to me.
Yeah. The things that we have been able to do with the yam, the sweet potato. Absolutely amazing.
We got something called pounded yams as well, and it's pretty fire.
Yep. My ex used to do that, the pounded yam. I was like, oh, this is good. This is good stuff. What's
up, Kobe?
It's really not figuratively, right?
Huh?
Okay.
What? Hey, this is a children's app.
I did want to take a moment to go back to the greens for a second.
Go ahead.
So I didn't even realize this wasn't common here. So y'all don't put coconut milk in your greens?
No.
What?
We do a lot with coconut milk, but I don't think
coconut milk and rice.
Yes, absolutely. Fire in the rice. I didn't realize that wasn't like
I've done that before in rice, but like not in my greens.
With jollof.
Hector, where's your people from?
My mother's from St. Vincent, my father's from Guyana, but mostly Vincentian.
Where's Guyana? I've heard of there.
It's not regionally Caribbean, but culturally it is. Yeah. It's kind of more, it's on the other side. Yes.
Do y'all speak Spanish?
Some Guyanese. Not Vincentian.
Okay.
Guyanese has a big Indian influence, doesn't it?
Yes, heavily.
Cool. So not time to cancel Hector. All right, but how do you do this coconut milk in your greens? Like, what is this? This like sound like cream spinach. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, so
I want to know more.
Basically, you cut back a little bit of the water that you'd use to boil it, and you just pour coconut milk in it, and you boil it with it, and it just soaks it all up. It gets that flavor in there. It's really good. It's the only way to cook greens, but it's really good. It's really good.
With callaloo or any greens? Is that with callaloo or any greens?
Honestly, I use any greens. Typically, when I do it, it's going to be turnip, mustard, and collard. I just do that mix and I boil it in there.
That is very interesting. Send me a recipe. I'm going to try it. If Bubba likes it, then it's a winner. If he doesn't, then I'm going to talk about you. Just like you know.
I said, we don't mess with the greens. We don't mess with any food. You'll be good.
If Bubba don't like it, tell her it's probably Erica's fault.
Nah, don't say stuff like that. Awesome. Thank you so much, Swan, for sending out a sub, and welcome to the Love Community Call. Hey, Athena.
Hey, y'all.
How are you
late?
doing?
I think I might be late.
No, you're just on Black people time. It's cool.
Child, you know what?
It's cool. That's another thing that connects us. I'm just kidding.
No, it really
Seriously,
does.
no, like, I'm so serious. It's a real problem in African parties. If it says it's starting at 5, be there at 8.
Oh man, a Nigerian tells exactly. If a Nigerian tells me something starts at 1:00, I already know I'm not showing up until 5. I'm not. I showed up to a Nigerian party once on time and was so mad. I was like, never again, never again. I know better.
And you're gonna be helping out. They're gonna
It's-
have you. They're gonna put you to work.
Yes, exactly.
They're gonna have you putting up chairs. And
Never
doing something.
again. Never.
They tell you a time to help you come and set it up. That's what you are. You're a laborer.
Like, I'm not doing this.
What
ever.
about when you tell people that you're like right around the corner, but you're still like in bed?
I ain't left the house. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm dressed. If I say I'm
I
gonna
had
be there
somebody-
at 10.
I
Mhm.
had somebody tell me they're going to be there at 10 o'clock and they didn't show till, I think, 4:30. She kept saying, I'm about to go, I'm about to leave, around the corner. Same thing.
No, soon come. Exactly, soon come.
Soon come.
And so, welcome in, Kobe. I'm so glad to have you here, of course. I'm low key nervous. That's why I'm like super chill. And thank God Hector is here. But that's another thing with like with all that we do share. When we walk into rooms, we're Black. Like no one is making that distinction. No one notices that, you know, Nigerian, American or Jamaican or Haitian and so on and so forth, or that you're from Virginia or that you're from New York. No one is making that distinction. So as Black people, we encounter so many, you know, unique experiences and challenges that do shape us. And so like, being who we are, what are some of those challenges that we do face, regardless of where we are in the world? And I know Kobe can speak to this because you're in Europe, and you're still Black. So, what are some of those challenges that you do face as a Black person, regardless of where you are?
Oof. Well. Oh wait, I thought I was gonna. Okay. For me, I think it's like one of the main. Okay, I'll start like really light. When I travel, I don't know if anybody else does this, but when I travel, the first thing that I Google is racism in said country, or how much racism is in this country, to then try to travel to the country that hates Black people the least.
Mm-hmm.
I do that all the
to the
time.
States.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, literally. I do that all the damn time, right? So that's one thing that I do. Another thing is I also like work in academia, even though I do know that my supervisor did tell me German academia is way too conservative for me, and I should go to American academia. But I think that for me is also very challenging because I am the only like Black woman in my whole space. So people automatically don't like take what I have to say as serious unless it's co-signed by somebody who is white, who is a man. In this case, my supervisor.
And when you say that, I'm pretty sure that is something that Adorna can also affirm that she has experienced. And I know I definitely experienced it. It's like I'm not heard in the workplace unless, you know, a white woman or a white man is backing it up and giving, you know, the thumbs up, like, yeah, Erica's right. Or I really appreciate what it was that you said there, Erica. You know what I mean? That is something that we all experience. And I wonder why. Why is that? Why can't we just be taken at our word and our intelligence actually value for what it is? I wonder about that.
We started talking about the history of all of this and what our ancestors, captors,
have
done. And a little bit of research. I think Santana had a guest up today who I've seen her videos before. I don't know if you saw his live, but
We don't
she
mention
talks
him
about,
here.
oh, okay. She talks about buck breaking and all this other stuff, things I didn't even know myself. So
Yeah.
I think one of the effects of colonization and the long tail of this is that sometimes even ourselves as Black people are not educated about what really happened, because in true form, the victors are the ones who define and tell the history of things. And I was not told the full history, as much as many Black Americans are not told the full history. The other thing I wanted to perhaps illustrate as a bit of a contrast, and what is, from my perspective, correct me if I'm wrong, unique about the Black experience in America, is that as part of the transatlantic slave trade, our ancestors, your ancestors, were brought to the Caribbean and the US.
Yep.
The islands in the Caribbean, the colonizers left. They still had their fingers in things for a long time, okay? But they left. I didn't have to walk around looking at the faces of people who perpetuated violence for hundreds of years on my ancestors. Although my last name is the last name of the last captor of my family. Talk about that if you want. America is unique, or the United States to me, in that we are surrounded by these people.
Yep.
They didn't just say, hey, we're going back to Britain, or let's retreat back to the original sliver of land that was the United States, right? That would be a completely different conversation if they, and there were attempts, I think, by the colonizers to remove Black people. Hey, go to Liberia. Hey, let's find this other piece of land. But the intermixing and the persistent face of captors, I think, does something. I think so.
That is actually interesting. And wow, because you're right, we do. We have to live amongst the people who did hold us captive, who did inflict such harm, who do perpetuate the system of racism. We have not necessarily been separate. We've been segregated, but we have not been separate. And whenever we did try to separate and do our own thing, Hector and I were talking about this earlier, it was destroyed. And so it's always like a constant. This might be going somewhere else, but wow, SJ, thank you for that. That was, wow.
South Africa is perhaps an exception, but they weren't enslaved. But
it's always a constant reminder. It is literally always, and like the racism is just so prevalent here, and it's ingrained in every single institution here in the United States, down from just not, it's in education, it's in the church, it's in our entertainment, it's in our bank, it's in everything. It permeates every single thing here, especially in the States. Wow, Eshe. Okay, run that up. Hector, add on to that. I want to talk about that too.
I do have an interesting point to add to that. I was in Houston this weekend, and Houston is one of the most diverse cities in the nation. And those of you know anything about Austin, you know it's Marshmallow City here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got to Houston Friday night, and I stepped foot and I walked down, I looked around, it was like, I'm not used to seeing so many Black people. And it wasn't even concentrated in one space. It was just everywhere. Like every room you walked in, if there was 10 people there, 4 to 6 of them were Black. And my entire time in Houston, I felt more at ease.
Yes.
Like I felt more comfortable. It felt natural. Like I was like, and I'm not, and let me be clear, I've always grown up in like deep South, very white cities. I'm not going to sit there and act like when I'm walking to these spaces, I'm looking at everyone sideways. I'm not. Like I can protect myself. I'm good. But it was just a different level of just being in a place where you see more of you. And it's a crazy experience. And I'm really glad, SJ, that you brought up that point, because that's never something I thought of, on how that can form our brains being born here compared to being somewhere else where you are the
majority.
Norm.
Yeah. Like it's just you. Like that's how I felt also in Chicago this past week. Just going into a room, because out here in the desert, you could really go to a concert. You could go to a concert.
I may be moving, y'all, but go ahead.
Hey, come to the desert, Hector. But
come to Utah. We have to build a community here.
Please.
Eric, I was just in Arizona like last
I could be trapped with you.
And you didn't tell me.
I was on a road trip, so we
That's
did.
crazy.
It's an interesting place.
It very much so is. But like you can go to a concert and literally just be still like one of maybe 10 out of thousands, and it's like, wow. And it's like my shoulders don't get to relax, but as soon as I go visit Houston, New Orleans, I go visit Chicago, hell, even if I go visit Los Angeles,
Detroit.
just like shoulders just relax all of a sudden, just at ease amongst my people. And so that's why I really don't understand is like, why don't we all find comfort in our shared Blackness? You know what I mean? Why don't we find comfort in that? Why do so I'm not saying anyone here on this panel, why do we want to make that distinction? Why don't we want to identify with Blackness?
I think even the people who make those distinctions so aggressively as they do, to some degree, still feel what we were just talking about. I think they more deny it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think even in the back of their brain, when they are in those spaces with everyone else that they may want to separate themselves from, they still get that comfort. I don't think that's something you can like do away with. But yeah, I think that's a great question. I don't actually. Give me a second to collect my thought on that one because I want to make sure I say it right.
Adorno wanted to say something too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
maybe giving some examples would be helpful too. That's all.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Dorna and then SJ.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think that it's intentional. I mean, even when we look at, for example, what happened with the Tutsi and the Hutu people in regards to the intentional kind of pitting them against each other. And obviously, when you pit people against each other, they can't align and go against you. And we see that within the United States in regards to the model minority myth. And it's not even just, I mean, we hear that a lot when we're talking about like Asian people, the model minority, but we do also hear that, for example, about immigrants versus Black Americans, where people will say, well, how come, people from other, like Nigerians come here and they're more successful than Black Americans? And then I think that's this intentional pitting us against each other so that we're not, aligning. Yeah.
I definitely agree. I think a lot of this, as we all know, of course, because it's like, it's not even the elephant in the room. It's just obvious as hell. Well, that is the elephant in the room. It's racism. And it's been the history in which we've been either it's been ingrained in us or we've been born into it, the history of anti-Blackness. And the infighting, because someone, I hate to say this term, but crabs in a barrel, someone has to be better. Someone has to be better. And, because my people, speaking, let's say, as like, as someone who comes from Africa, that's not me, I'm just saying, speaking as, it's like, my people didn't experience the same hardships. We weren't held captive. We weren't forced to work. We didn't have our children stripped away from us. We're better than that. And it just creates these friggin', like, to me, these unnecessary battles that we don't need to have. Because again, when we all walk into a room, nobody can tell Emmanuel that he's Nigerian. No one can tell him that. No one can tell and can say, oh, well, you hail from such and such place. Right?
But there's also this idea that spots are limited, right? When you're talking about the crabs in the barrel, like the stat is there that Black women are the fastest growing demographic of entrepreneurs within the United States, but we only receive 0.3% of venture capital funding. Yep. So it's almost this idea of, well, I can't tell any other Black women because there's only this much to go around. And if I tell other people, I might get my share. And so, again, it's this pitting against each other because it's kind of the fight for the last spot.
Yeah.
Or the only spot. Yeah.
Yeah. SJ, did you mind if we go to Kobe because she had her hand raised?
Yeah, I was going to say go to Kobe first. And then...
Okay. Hey, Kobe.
Yeah, hi. What even is Black? I guess that's something that I ask myself, right? What is Blackness? Because Blackness is some completely different to different people, right? Some people think you aren't Black if you exhibit certain features, or if you like certain music, or if you act a certain way, if you talk a certain way, if you work in a certain branch. Some people think East Africans are not Black, and they proudly talk about it, and it's so irritating. So what even is Blackness, right? And I think that is something that we need to discuss as well, because unfortunately, during these like diasporan wars, quote unquote, that is something that is weaponized or used against different demographics of Black people.
Absolutely.
I think it's a good question.
Having the flags that I do in my bio, there's been a few times on this app now where I've had people come up and talk to me and say that I can't speak on racism because of my parents. Granted, I was born here. Like, kind of going back to what y'all were saying, I've said it like this: nigga's nigga. They don't care. When they see us, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Tap, tap, tap the screen, y'all. TikTok shop is the best shop.
Well, you should have used the hard R. That's what they would say.
No.
Yeah.
Not here.
And it's just, I grew up the exact same way people here did. And there's still this weirdness about you don't fully understand the struggle. And I'm like, I understand if you're coming in a couple years in and then you grow up here for the rest of your life, like I can see some differences there. But it's getting to the point where there's a particular sector that will look at people like me and go, because of my parents, I don't get to claim this. I don't get to claim that. I'm like, I like your question, Kobe. What is Blackness? I'm like, what are you claiming exactly? What do you think you're claiming? What is your version of Blackness, and who are you to exclude it from other people? I do think there is a serious conversation needs to be had about that.
I think that's actually a good question. Go ahead, Ashay.
I think there's a typical attribution or classification derived from phenotypical traits that we all have: nose, lips, eyes, skin tone, melanin, and so forth. Genetically speaking, there's not significant enough difference to just look at genetic code and go, this person is Black. So there's the other side of that, which is it's a construct. If it's a construct, it's what we decide, what we determine. I have had people, though, say to me that because I live in Utah, because I'm raising my kids in Utah, my kids are not Black, but they are Black, right?
Based off the state, though?
That's crazy.
What's it? Well, it's like, wow, they're not really Black. So is Blackness geographically determined then, in addition to our phenotypical traits? You know, it's interesting. If we don't build communities in places we are living, then there is no chance for a community to grow anyways. So I take issue with instances where people have done this. And like Hector, I used to have a Jamaican flag in my bio, and I love going on panels and stuff. And so I took it out of my panel or my profile because the same thing would happen. Same thing.
Edit back.
Where that shit proud.
Going a step further. Well, they usually hear it when I say that. But going a step further, it's like, I think I had this thought that we are all experiencing white supremacy to varying degrees, and anti-Blackness is just pro-whiteness. Really, it's you're trying to get closer to what is deemed as acceptable and what is right. Even case in point, Erica, if I'm going to pick on you, if you get passionate about a topic, why is she so angry? Oh, that's because you people don't express yourselves that way. You're telling us how to express ourselves, and the minute we conform to that, yes, we are being true to ourselves, anti-Black, right?
Yep.
And it's something that I've just observed. I encourage my children to just be themselves and not shrink from things. But at the same time, there's a degree of pragmatism to where, and I know this isn't the whole conversation, but I have to tell them, hey, don't, because they have white friends, don't chase them down the road. Please don't run through the neighborhood. Make sure if you're going out, you don't wear Black. Make sure it's bright, things like that. Don't walk too close behind people. And that sucks, but that's a part of being around these people. That's just the reality.
I want to take a quick commercial break here, just in regards to the panel, because I did tell Hector I was only going to keep it to a few because big panels overload me, but everyone on this panel I do trust, and I know y'all know how to hold your own lives for the most part, and you know how to have conversations, so I trust that we aren't going to be doing over talking, and we will allow everyone to have a moment, their opportunity to speak. I want to welcome TJ and Black Swan to our panel, two people that I absolutely adore on this app. So thank you so much for being here. Let me see here. I want to include Swan in this because I see that you requested up once we started discussing like what is Blackness. So Swan, what would you like to add? And then I'm going to go to Emmanuel and then to TJ.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I feel like I think about it differently now that I've been involved in a lot of the discussions on TikTok, to believe it or not, because I grew up in a predominantly YT area. So I just kind of like understood Blackness from my parents' perspective. Like I didn't really have friends at school I was always the Black child in damn near every space I was in. So I think I really just am still on a journey of, this may sound really basic and weird, but rejecting all things white supremacy so I can, I guess, just dive into Blackness even more, if that makes sense. Because I don't think I got, like, it's so different when you're growing up around people that look like you, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I didn't really have that. I mean, I had my family, but there wasn't like enough of a variety of Black people around me. So I think that that's something I'm still kind of like trying to figure out. I will be honest. Oh, thank you, Sean. Thank you so much.
Swan for Swan.
Thank you. I definitely can understand, like, just like when in terms of like ethnicity, right? People's culture and things like that. But this whole trying to like, you can't say that you're Black because you're not here. You can't say that you're Black because you're not from there. It just drives me nuts because I think that that's rooted in white supremacy. And I think it's really unfortunate. Like for me, I was literally robbed of that because of where I grew up, you know, and not blaming my parents. I love them, you know, dearly, but I didn't get to have those experiences. When I see that, I get pretty triggered because I think that like, you can have your culture wherever you are. I think I was listening to Issa Rae talk about this, like growing up where she grew up, and then also going back to, I think she's Senegal, from Senegal, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so she went back and forth, and she said she always felt like just kind of like out of place, and she didn't understand why people like kind of like gatekept certain things, you know, a certain way. So for me, I think I'm still on that journey of trying to figure out what it is. But I do wish that people globally would understand that we are all Black. You know, I mean, if it's like FBA or pretending, that's another conversation. But just in terms of like people like us having discussions like these, like we are all Black. And yes, we can still acknowledge that there are differences culturally, you know, and nobody has to put anybody else's culture down. If that makes sense. But yeah.
Yeah. And one thing, because I am going to go to Emmanuel, then TJ, but one thing I do want to discuss is Kobe mentioned this in the comments that East Africans are typically excluded from the diaspora. And I want to delve into that because I've had some experience with East Africans, specifically Kenyans. And I think I have an idea about why, but we definitely do want to discuss that. So, Emmanuel, what would you like to add in regards to this part of the conversation?
Erica, can I switch my profile for 1 second? I'm coming right back.
Sure, that's fine.
You know, speak on specifically about how like tribalism is fueled to this whole who is Black or what is Blackness discussion a lot of the times, because when you see how white supremacy and what the structure of how racism was built upon, all white people actually don't agree with each other, but they were able to use this concept of whiteness. So now they all just assimilated and think, well, we're white. So regardless of we hate each other, we're going to find a way to rob other people. So with them creating the concept of like Blackness, then we were all then forced within tribalism conflict with each other, and not realizing that like white folks were out here just robbing us. So I had literally an interesting discussion with my little brother. We was watching Love Island, and one of the characters was to come find out he did like ancestry that he was Nigerian, and my brother was like, "Nah, I won't consider him Nigerian," and I was like, "Why not?"
Thank you,
And he was like, "I
Jess.
mean, and because he said that just because his parents and he's not like lineage to Nigeria." But I was like, I mean, he did, he did the ancestral work to try to like figure out where the people came from. So I'm not going to just say that like he's from a specific tribe, but I'm just not going to say he's not Nigerian either. Because again, like we all come from some part of West Africa or parts of Caribbean or all different diasporas.
Yeah.
So it's just always interesting to see how like tribalism, even within Nigeria, where amongst like the different tribes in there, like some North Nigerians or like a different tribe up there, or the Igbo tribe or the Yoruba tribe is always constantly in conflict with each other, versus actually not realizing that within the structures of Nigeria, there's like literally no like wealth disparity. There's no wealth inequality that's within that. And there's no such thing as like a middle class in Nigeria. So either people are rich that is like being corrupted by Western influences, or like people who are poor fighting amongst each other with tribalism and stuff like that. So that's kind of what's interesting when it comes to like what is determinant of who's black, or what is the concept of who's assimilated to what exactly.
Who goes next after Manuel?
I don't know what that was, Cam, but thank you. It was gonna be TJ, but
okay. I wanted to make a real quick point
I think
picking
you
up
have
on what
echo, Emmanuel.
Oh, is it? We good
Yeah,
now?
it's Emmanuel.
Okay. Real quick point before we move on to TJ, because I wanted to pick up on this from what Swan said. I do think we have to be very careful, even if in our jokes, especially in public spaces, with how we make certain comments that can be exclusionary to different Black people's experiences. Regionally, that is a big thing, whether it's in the States or abroad. We don't get to choose how we were brought up in the locations that we're in. Most places in the United States, it's going to be predominantly white. But if we do have someone that talks white, which we know that's not a thing, right? Well, never mind. There's certain things, right, where it's like when we do it, like, oh, you sound like this, you sound like that. While it's important to make those like distinctions and understanding like why a Black person may lean this way or listen to certain music or say certain things that are problematic in the Black community, it shouldn't go past that point to where we are undermining someone else's Blackness. Y'all know I can't stand Blagga, but even Blagga, as much as they may choose to reject their own Blackness, they're still Black. That's just something I wanted to point out. And especially with many of the white allies, accomplices, whatever you want to call them.
Thank you, Cam.
Some of us get so comfortable with them to where we're allowing them to make certain jokes. So these are all things that we need to be a little bit more aware of. And I'm speaking to myself, but I'm also sharing this to other people who need to hear it. But go ahead, TJ.
I don't think that we need to I'm sorry to I'm apologizing on my own live, but not to interrupt. But it's I think amongst ourselves, like in these types of situations, let's say if we were all sitting at the table with each other and Swan said what she said, I don't think that there will be a need to gatekeep Blackness. And what I think Blackness is not just, like a phenotype, is more so a cultural identity that is shared connections. And I've been mentioning this throughout the live. But again, it's just something that we all have in common. Because I know if Athena and Swan and Adorna turned their cameras on right now, we could all give each other a look and understand it. Athena's all the way in Europe. Athena is East African, and Adorna is Jamaican, and Swan is Puerto Rican, and I believe Nigerian. Like, we're all different. We all grew up in different cultures of Blackness, but we all still have an understanding. And so might not be the most eloquent. I just think it's just a simple, it's a connection that we all have with each other where we just understand each other. Mm-hmm.
But then the question comes in, someone asked me to speak on something in the comment section that I actually think fits in well here. And they were they asked me to speak about it in regards to pro-Blackness. Mm-hmm. But I think it fits in with what you just said as well in regards to whether or not Blackness is a cultural connection. Because then for someone who does grow up in a predominantly white, let's say neighborhood or and doesn't understand the look, are we not considering them black? What the person asked me to
I
ask,
was thinking about that too.
yeah, because what they asked in particular was, can I speak in regards to TikTok's pro-blackness, where you can't have white friends and you can't do interracial marriages, etc. Like I was on a live just a few days ago, and they were talking to someone else, and they said, well, you can't be, you're not really black, you are mod for a white person. And I was like, wait, what? How does that work?
What?
I was so confused.
That's so wild. That is so wild.
And so yeah, there's so many parameters.
True.
Yeah.
I want to go to, that is crazy. I want to go to TJ and then to Kobe. I'm gonna hush. So TJ and then Kobe.
You mean both.
Now, I had to say that first of all, everybody that knows me knows that I cannot stand
keep it cute, TJ.
Tap dancers. I'm being cute. That's why I switched profile. This is my less aggressive profile.
No, this is the ashwagandha, TJ.
Yes.
Ashwagandha.
I cannot stand tap dancers that reject their own blackness. If we talk about it, and I really feel may have some disagreements, and I like I said, I never care. Anybody that upholds white supremacy that hurts our community cannot be a part of us. I've always said that, and I always will say that. Not all of us is going to make it. So that's number one. That's why I feel we can have a disagreement about that much later. But this is one point more important. Number two, there are too many people on this app that are bastions of blackness that tell you everything that is not, you can't be black about. You know what I'm trying to say? Like you just said, if you're mindful a white tea person, you can't be black. If you have interracial marriage, you can't be black. If you cross the street wrong, you can't be black. If you speak a certain way, you can't be black. All this really some ridiculous white tea supremacy talking points, and those people, I wonder sometimes, are they educated enough to understand what's going on around them? And how we are trying to come together. And sometimes I feel on this app, especially, there's people who will find different ways to tear each other apart. That's another question. And my other thing is, on the continent of Africa, and this is speaking on something earlier, and I'm just letting all this stuff out because I've just been listening all this time. On the continent of Africa, there are 300 plus different ethnicities and ethnicities on that continent of Africa that are black. And this is when we talk about phenotype, everything else is like, but what is the phenotype of blackness if we have all these different varieties of black? So I was just wondering about that. Just things that just came to the top of my head first and foremost.
I agree with you in terms of they can be a part of the movement more so because that they separate themselves from it. However, I do think while we may have our issues with people who align themselves with white supremacy and cause harm to the black community, there's a difference between that and then taking away their blackness. That's what I will say. I run into a lot of issues of where we're telling them, oh, you're not black. That's too far, in my personal opinion, but I don't want to stay hung up on that. Kobe.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I think this is something that I've struggled with all my life, and including like my family has struggled with as well, because I do have a lot of family in like California and Atlanta, and these are conversations that we've continued to have. And I feel like when it does come to East Africans, especially those of us who are from the Horn, I feel like we've long like carried the weight of invisibility in global conversations about blackness, because like regardless of where we are in the world, our histories, our struggles, our identities are usually just perceived to be a footnote in like the global narrative about blackness, right? It's usually erased, even within like Black diasporic spaces. People don't know that we experience slave trades, especially the trans-Saharan slave trade. People don't know that the slave trades like not only tore through our coasts, but colonial violence actively fractured our homelands, and how young that is, right? Like, for example, me, I'm Eritrean. We were colonized from 1557 up until 1991. The trans-Saharan slave trade also existed in the Horn. And our pain is not less simply because it is less known. And a lot of people don't know that. We are still treated, racialized as Black. We live through anti-Blackness in all its forms. And yet we kind of are made to feel like we exist on the margins of what it means to be Black, which is why you have a lot of non-East African or non-Horn African people sit down and question our features, question our accents or our cultures, our misunderstood, our histories, and all these different things. And then sometimes you hear people like East Africans say, I'm Eritrean, I'm not Black, or I'm Ethiopian, I'm not Black, or I'm Somali, I'm not Black. And that also doesn't necessarily only come from people who identify heavily with their culture, but also from alienation. Because a lot of times when I do talk to people, they do kind of feel very alienated, and they do feel, it's not like out of denial, but mostly out of exhaustion from having to constantly explain and justify our place within this like narrative that, in my opinion, should have already made room for us, right? So I think like that's precisely why I always talk about Eritreans. I always talk about Horner communities. A lot of people don't know that the first Black pilot was an Eritrean man by the name of Domingo Mondelli. He was a Black Italian pilot. People don't know that we are heavily involved in global Black diasporic narratives, and we are erased. And not only us, but also the Ethiopians, the Somalis. And so that's one thing I just wanted to address, like that we're too often caught between being seen as like the other by those outside our race and then not Black enough by those who are within our race, even though our stories are Black stories.
Absolutely. What was the name of the pilot you just mentioned again?
Minko Mondelli.
Okay.
I can send it.
Thank you. What's crazy is that I just Google it because I had a feeling that that name wasn't going to show up, and I was correct. It's going to be here regarded as Eugene Jacques Bullard. So thank you for that. I'm going to have to do some research on that.
Interesting. All right. Again, I said I'm being quiet. So SJ, what would you like to add on?
I'm curious, since I grew up in Jamaica, and thank you, Kobe, for adding that perspective. I always thought to myself, okay, I'm weird because I grew up Mormon, so it was always I'm Mormon first, and then I'm Jamaican, then Black, as far as identity goes. So now that Mormonism is out of the way, it became, well, I'm Jamaican. Let me connect to my roots. So Jamaican to me speaks to culture. Black was always a part of my identity as well as race. My question is for everybody who perhaps was born in the United States, grew up, raised here. Were you taught that you were Black, or were you taught that you were African American? Was there a difference? Where did that come from? Like, just trying to understand a little bit.
So for myself, honestly, it was the same. My parents, I just remember my earliest memories where I was raised Black in the sense of, you can't do what them white boys over there are doing.
Exactly.
Right? You stay close to your parents. You don't go hollering out in the store and all those good things. However, that was very surface level. They, even up to this day, do not understand the history of it here because of their experiences, and like they don't read like that. So I guess I can say yes. For myself, it was one and the same. There was no differentiation. It was just, you were Black. You look like this, light, dark skin, doesn't matter. You were Black. So that's one thing I am thankful for with my parents. The only differentiations I would say would just be in regards to culture. Outside of that, they very much understood the community, or like the fact that we were a part of it.
Yeah. And I grew up, it was both African American because we descended from slaves. So that's how we were able to ethnically identify ourselves, but then also Black because that's just how race works here in the States. You're Black, and like Hector said, you can't do the same things that the white kids do. because you are Black. You will be treated a certain way because you are Black. We're not even going to go into colorism, but I'm not touching colorism today, guys. But yeah, so yeah, I would say it was both. And sometimes they are, they're not sometimes, they are used interchangeably here in the States.
Yeah, I grew up Black as hell.
I'm Black,
I grew up on the
y'all.
south side of
I'm
Chicago.
Black, y'all. I'm Blackity Black.
I went to a school called New Constant Development Center when we had Baba Paul as a teacher and things of that nature. So yeah, I was raised Black as hell. I come from a city where I still remember when Harold Washington, even though I was a child, I remember when Harold Washington was elected the first Black mayor of Chicago, and I still remember seeing the posters that were up and the joy that we exuded when we found out he was going to be our mayor. So, and of course, Chicago, we all know Chicago was also founded by a Black man, but we're not going to, again, that's just more of a, that's just more context to everything to it. But yes, no, but I grew up Black. My mother was Panther Muslim adjacent. And I say that because she grew up around a lot of them, and she always talked about the nation and the movements. Fred Hampton was still one of the most revered people in our community. Unalived at 21 for just trying to bring people together. So Chicago is a very pro-black city. But as I got older, African American and Black was just interchangeable to me. But when I first came on this earth, and about the first 20 years, I was Blackie the Black.
I did not know about Fred Hampton until I was 21 years old. That's for a separate conversation, but just want to put that out there. I was
30.
Oh, and that's
Interesting
okay.
that's being made though, because in America, that would make sense that Black is so emphasized, because yes, there are a lot of times you're hearing this is the first Black person to do this. Yep. This is the first Black person to hold this position. Oh, you're Black. Don't touch things in the stores. They might think you put it in your pocket. So that is said a lot. In Jamaica, everybody's Jamaica, and in Jamaica is Black. So there's no need to say, oh, this was the first Black man. I mean, that person's always been Black. The person that had that position, so that's that is a very interesting point. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, Black is always being brought up here amongst Black people. Yeah.
The reason I asked the question is I've always thought of African American as the culture and Black as the identifier. That to me, that makes sense semantically speaking. We're all Black, so what's the point in arguing about whether somebody's Black or not? I saw a live where I think I was watching it at the time too. Somebody said Kofi isn't Black because they didn't grow up in America, and I'm like, what are you talking about? This is insane. We're all Black. We just have different backgrounds.
Oh no, it was only African Americans were Black.
I don't agree with that at all.
Which is why I'm saying I can agree. I'm not African American by culture. That's not how I grew up, but my kids are African American because that's how they're growing up.
Well, again, like I said before, though, we have a lot of people with a lot of voices that shouldn't really have voices. A lot of them are very uneducated about the subjects that they talk about. I'm just being honest and keeping it real with you. Sometimes I see the same subject, and it's just like, guys, really? So we gonna play the white supremacy game. We'll just try and find more ways to separate each other.
Yeah, and here, our conversation here is definitely about bridging that gap. So definitely keeping it cute over here. We're bridging the gap and trying to have a better understanding of why we do certain things. Yet, how can we all actually understand each other and get to the point to where we recognize that we do share, as Shay calls it, an identifier. I think it's a connection of culture. It may be different, but we all have understanding. So we are definitely keeping it cute. Nico, I don't know you, but welcome. Nice to meet you.
Can we let Swan add on to that point before we let Nico?
Oh, most definitely.
Damn, I just lost my train of thought.
No.
We're talking about Blackness, policing people's Blackness.
Oh no, I remember. Okay. So hear me out. Okay. But don't listen. I think as I go on my journey of experiencing Blackness, right? Being a Black person, but also getting on this app, and I'll be honest, like these are the most like Black conversations I've had because I grew up in the predominantly white area and I still live on one, right? And I think it's been very interesting to hear people's experiences that are from other parts of the world that are Black. And I think that when we look at the things that we have dealt with, although I cannot sit at the same table as some people, I can definitely extend grace and understand that it is a trauma response to everything that we have dealt with, everything that we have been through, not having access to all of this information about ourselves. I think all of us are probably still learning about things that our ancestors went through. And we may never know everything that our ancestors went through globally, right? But I think for me, I don't engage with people who are like, you know, that would like consider themselves like quote unquote indigenous to America and stuff like that. But I think I can understand it's a very like intense amount of anti-Blackness. I notice like a lot of times they'll come into our spaces and argue with us, and I'm listening. And I'm like, okay, there's no information to prove this to be true. You know what I mean? And I can see it get kind of nasty, but I think when we're educated on YT supremacy and how society is set up and how it impacts us, I can understand that that is a trauma response. I cannot engage with them, but I can extend that grace. I understand why it happens. It doesn't make me angry anymore, if that makes sense.
I get it. That's why, like, people are like, how do you deal with Blagga? They don't, I get it. I can still extend grace to them. Like Hector said, they're still Black people. It's just, and I always approach from curious. I'm not going to make a decision about you just yet, but they don't make me upset anymore. Like in the beginning they did, but there's a lot there. There's a lot there. And once you kind of understand it, you just take it for what it is. You don't try to like look deeper into it.
So I try.
Go ahead,
I
Adorna.
try to come from a place of a little more understanding in regards to. I mean, there are a couple of people that are Blagga that are regularly in spaces that I'm in and on panels that I'm in, and they have the sentiment of the you're not Black because you're not a FBA, right? And I've heard a lot of them say this idea that immigrants, and I'm not talking about like Mexican people, for example, in this case, Black immigrants, are going to take away from the resources.
That's rooted in white supremacy.
Yeah. But also this idea that, but I kind of understand what's the thought process in that. I think the feeling is kind of, we've been here all of this time and we're still fighting for reparations, and we're still, they say that 73% of the neighborhoods that were segregated in 1930 are just as segregated now. So we're still fighting for all these things, and then other people are coming when we haven't gotten what we feel is due to us. So I understand the process, but I would like to encourage people to take it more as, if we band together, we all win.
Yes.
Rather than we want to win before you guys win.
Exactly.
Like, let us get ours before you get. Yeah, I think it. Yeah, I try to understand the process. It is still infuriating, but I kind of try to understand why the thought process is there.
I'm just
Adorna.
My thing, and I will always say
Thank you
this.
for having me.
Oh, of course, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for being here, love.
Appreciate you, man.
I will always. I'm sorry.
After TJ, I got to do a
I
little
will
bit.
always say.
Yeah, and I want to hear
go
what
ahead,
Nico
right.
has to say also.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, TJ, and then Nico.
Oh, I thought you were okay. And I would say this, and again, we can disagree. I don't care. Anytime you side with my enemy, you cannot be my friend.
Exactly.
There is no way you're gonna come in my face. We're going through the same things. You know what we've been through. Your genetics, your DNA scream what we go through, and you rather deny all that and be my enemy than to say, you know what, brother, I might be thinking differently. Where can we come together? I'm not coming to your side. You're on the side of white supremacy. And white supremacy always does what it does. It takes, and it unalives, and it strips you of everything you are until you are nothing but their pawn. So I will never be someone's pawn. I will unalive, stand up, and die on my knees. So I don't want people like that around me because they're poisonous. That's the way I will always feel.
Well, the thing is, TJ, is I definitely understand where it is that you're coming from, but just in this conversation alone, it's about how we all. Oh, TJ, you're not gonna like this. It's not about excluding anyone. That's why I see like even like what Swan said, like being able to extend that grace. I'm not saying we're inviting them, into the house or anything of that nature, or even trying to be friends with them. It's just when it comes to those people, when it comes to them, it doesn't make me angry anymore. I unfortunately I can understand it, and it's something that I've been able to compartmentalize.
Mm.
You know,
again,
yeah.
but see, this is the thing about being black in America. We can disagree and still come together and do what things we have to do.
Exactly.
See, I have a different outlook. You can't be around me. You can't be around me praising massa. But I will say that there are people I'm around all the time that are light thinkers or close enough light thinkers to understand that we do need all to come together against white supremacy and actually let's talk about reading. Let's talk about saving our history. Let's talk about becoming orators of our own history because we cannot depend on somebody else no longer. Or we never could anyway. But we can no longer depend on other people to save our or to how can I put this? Hold on to our heritage. We have to be our own savers of our heritage.
We have to tell our own stories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Collect books, collect documentaries, all those things. Yes.
Absolutely.
I agree with that. And Nico, I want to weave you into the conversation here, love. Again, it's nice to meet you. What
Nico
would you
got crazy patience.
You do. You do. You are a patient man. All right, Nico, what would you like to say, love?
I just want to piggyback on what everybody else is saying. It's like I've been on TikTok for a minute now, and before TikTok, I never experienced this type of xenophobia ever since I've been on TikTok. And me as a pro-black man, as Jamaican American, and I've been like pro-black since like 2011, like super pan-African. Like as you can see the flag behind me, like super. I go to rallies, I protest. I don't buy anything white tea. Like I support black businesses no matter what your nationality is. I'm talking about from the socks I wear to the drawers. Like I support black everything. Even my car is black. My job is black. I don't care where you at. And when I came on TikTok, it just what I've been seeing lately been being called tether. You're not one of us. Go home. And I was born here. My mom and dad wasn't, but I was born here. And I did things for my community and for my people. I even got locked up for doinking a police officer at a rally.
Okay.
And for somebody to tell me to go home, it's just sad. It's just sad and hurtful. It's very hurtful. You know what I'm saying? And they be like, oh, you Jamaican, you're not black. I'm like, where do y'all get this from? Oh, in Jamaica, y'all don't call yourself black. Y'all call yourself Jamaican. I mean, because 90% of Jamaica is black. We don't gotta tell each other that we're black. We know we black. You know what I'm saying? You got like some Chinese and some Indian up there, but majority of Jamaica are black people, just like Africa. They don't gotta call themselves black. They are black.
I think it goes back to what we were speaking about earlier. Like Adorno was mentioning, like there are only a few spots available. And so we have to be exclusionary. I don't think this way. I'm speaking to it. We have to be exclusionary. But you mentioned Pan-Africanism, and I know that was something that Hector wanted to touch on. So I'm gonna let Hector take it away from here because I'm very interested in this. I'm trying to be quiet because I want everybody to talk.
Why you do this?
Go ahead.
All right.
Interesting.
Before we get into that, because I do have some questions. Black labor ain't free. So 261 people in this live right now. To the freeloaders, go ahead and tap the screen. All right. We need to get those likes up. Y'all got too comfy in here. All right. So it wouldn't be me if I didn't do this. Tap that screen or you're a bigot. Okay. Get the likes up. If you support the community, if you support the conversations being had, if you support the unity, then it should reflect in the likes up there. I would love to see 100K, and I think we can do so in the next couple minutes because we will be wrapping it up in a moment. share out the live to the individuals you can. Don't do this, Kobe. Share out the live to the individuals you can. We'll greatly appreciate that. Also, support Erica. This was Erica's idea. I'm here because she asked me to be here. This is all E. And we are very thankful that this took place. And if we want more of them to happen, we got to make sure that we show out and thank Erica for bringing this community together, for having these conversations in a respectful manner without the contentiousness. And that will reflect, again, in your support. So do all of the things. But Nico, you mentioned pro-Black. I have a view on that. And I guess to me, I don't quite know what pro-Blackness is, in the sense of my thought process is if you're Black, you're just for your community. I think the distinction of pro-Blackness is kind of odd. I get why it exists, but I'm starting to get to the point where there's a lot of terms where it's just kind of senseless to me. So I want you to elaborate from your view what exactly pro-Blackness is.
Pro-Black is basically like you just pro your people. Like no matter what your nationality is, I'm just pro-Black. Not saying I'm anti-white. I'm invested in the cultures, all of our cultures combined, and our people, what we do, our communities, group economics. I'm just invested in us because at the end of the day, we're below and we need to rise up. So I'm just invested in us as a people. You know what I'm saying? It's not me being anti anything, but I feel like all Black people should be pro-Black so we can actually rise as a people. Not in a hateful way, but just in general.
Thanks, Cam.
I can respect aspects of it. You mentioned, you said your socks are Black, your hoodie Black, right? I like that aspect. There was a conversation I was having a couple of weeks back with someone where they asked me, they said, oh, what have you done for the Black community? What Black shops do you shop at? Do you go to a Black farmers market near you for your produce? And I thought about that. I was like, I don't know. So I went and I got to Google and I found a Black farmers market out here. And they have a site and everything. It's just marketing is hard, right? And expensive, I imagine, as well. But yeah, there's very few Black people in Austin, and the ones that are here, they don't know about that. So I like that aspect of pro-Blackness in regards to taking some extra time and making an extra effort to ensure that your money, your time, your energy is going into your own community. So that part I respect. However, I do think I guess to me, my thought process is more so we are all naturally that way for the most part. And it's people who can kind of co-opt pro-Blackness in a way that can be harmful. I believe Adorna was going over some of the examples in regards to, oh, if you're with a white woman, you're not pro-Black. If you like this type of music, then you're against this other side. So I guess, and I don't think you're saying this, but I just want to make this clear. Pro-Blackness is very important, but at no point should it be any type of interaction or association with Caucasians or the white community does not negate pro-Blackness.
Oh, this is such a good question. I'm going to hold off because I want to go to Kobe because she raised her hand. And then I really, really I also want to hear from Eb, but I really want this question to be answered. Like the Manhattan Manchild said, what negates individual Black people from pro-Blackness? We have to talk about that because there goes that exclusionary stuff again. And that's what I'm not saying it's a bad, I think it's a really great question. But that goes against what it is that I think that we should be trying to accomplish. So like, why are we excluding? So Kobe, go ahead. Please. And then Eb, I want to hear from you.
Anyone who talks mess about Black women. Sorry.
To answer a question, people who call other people freeloaders. Anyways.
Words matter. Words matter. Words mean things.
Oh no, I'm just joking. I think another aspect of being pro-Black or being pro-Pan-Africanism is to affirm the dignity and the worth and the brilliance of all Black people everywhere, while understanding that our liberation is bound together across continents, across histories, across cultures, ethnicities, nationalities, right? It also means standing against all forms of anti-Blackness. And I mean all forms: homophobia, queerphobia, misogynoir.
Yep.
And I'm going to mention the C word, y'all, capitalism as well. Because anti-Blackness is the foundation of capitalism, right? Everything that is colonial, systemic, internalized, we need to stand against it. It's not really just about pride, like I'm Black and I'm proud and who we are, but it's a commitment to who we must become. And so that to me is being pro-Black. I don't like this performative pro-Blackness where you just, I don't know, put up like a pin or whatever it is, and you don't actually care about the liberation of all Black people.
Please stop talking about Dr. Umar like that.
Wait, what?
Latina may not know who Dr. Umar is.
Of course I know who Dr.
Oh, you do?
Umar is. What
Just
the
messing
hell?
with you.
That man is the king.
Oh,
Just listen.
not touching that one.
I'm about to say,
Not touching
please
it.
drop the sticker if you are a sub.
He has said some messed up ish, but that nigga is still funny, okay?
He's hilarious.
He
No,
is
unintentionally hilarious. Unintentionally hilarious. Umar is fucking funny. Okay.
Black women forever,
say
snow
also-
bunnies never.
Can I say also, this is why I'm saying this jokingly, please forgive me. But this is why I cannot talk around a billion Black people, because they steal my ideas from my head. Kobe said everything I was going to say to probably more eloquent than I did. Now I have nothing to say after that.
All right. So
This is why Black women are number one, but anyway.
That is very true. I want to go to Eb and then to Adorna. Hi, Eb. Welcome.
Everyone. Hi.
Hi.
I think as someone who is Haitian American, I have always grown up as like, Haitian, but obviously I know I'm Black. But I think it's been drilled into me like for years, even like more so, especially what's happening in America. So I lived in South Carolina, Swansea, South Carolina, very close to Lexington. If you guys remember the pew-pewing that happened at the church, so that was actually right around the corner for me. So I was like maybe like 14-ish when it happened. So even for my immigrant parents, like they were like, remember, like you have to be careful. Like they were very stressed out. But we were told, like this is, you are Black, and like she wasn't trying to scare me, but she wanted to let me know that, people view you differently and they will have some animosity towards you for your Blackness. And so I've always kind of like, been aware of my Blackness. And so like when people like try to separate it from me, I kind of get like very upset, because at the end of the day, if I am like walking out, nobody cares what I am, like where I'm from, like where my people are from. They see me as Black at the end of the day. And that animosity has happened to me when I was like applying to college. I got accepted to UPenn in 2015-ish. And I remember like going into these group chats, they don't care where I'm from. They were just like, oh, you got in. They were like, you got in? How did you get in here? Like, you're just like, you're Black, so I don't expect you to be smart or anything like that. And that's how I kind of like, when it comes to Blackness and how we, to get like, I feel like to get each other to come together, we have to recognize that like, at the end of the day, people don't care where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
They just see you for what you are.
All they see.
That's all they see.
I don't think they see you for what you are. I think they see their perception of you, and the first thing they see is the color of your skin.
Yeah, that's a good way. Sorry.
Yeah. I definitely think that. That's why earlier when we the question was asked, like, what do you experience as a Black person, regardless of where you are in the world? And something that we all can agree upon is that, that initial bias, immediately thinking the worst or assuming negativity about us regardless, because no one's going to make the distinction that you're Haitian. They're not going to say, oh, you're Jamaican. Oh, well, you're a different kind of Black. No, that doesn't happen. So we're Black, whatever.
Good Negroes.
Yeah, you're
And
one of the good ones. No.
And my biggest pet peeve is when people, like, when they do find out, they'll be like, oh, so you're not like, you know, the Black Americans. And I'll be like, excuse me? And like, people are like,
what does that mean?
Listen, I was with a group of people, and it was me and this other girl. And she is, I forgot where she's from, but like she's from like somewhere else, but she is Black too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm offended. I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm just like everybody else. I'm still Black. Like, what are you trying to say? And it was like, oh, I just kind of view you differently from Black Americans. I was like, I don't give a rat's, you know what? I was like, that's very disrespectful. I don't care if I'm not Black American. I still find it disrespectful. And she was just like, why are you offended? Because like that was a compliment. I was like, I don't find it as a compliment. I actually find it very disrespectful.
Exactly. I think if we all stood on business like that, then maybe we can get folks to actually start changing their minds. But I do want to hear from Adorna. Hold on, TJ. TJ.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
TJ. Hey, Adorna. What's up, love?
Yeah, so I was just going to say that the way in which pro-Blackness had been explained to me, or what I... Yeah. Anyway, the way in which I learned it to be was that it was the support and advocacy pretty much for the Black community in all aspects of your life, right? And then I'd seen it taken even further. So in terms of interracial marriage, which was the question that was asked me when we first started, how I'd heard it explained was that we know, or should know, or hopefully we'll learn today, that the the Asian dollar circulates in the Asian community for a month. The Jewish community, their dollar circulates for 20 days, white community for 17 days, the Black community for 6 hours, not 6 days, 6 hours, right? And for plenty of reasons, we're less likely to receive like venture capital and funding, less likely to be able to get approved for loans in our own communities, et cetera. So it's harder to even have a business that stays afloat, has a business that has employees, or to have a business at all in our community. So there are reasons for that. And so what I was told was that for that reason, we should be dedicating ourselves to building up, and this is just one aspect, like the Black dollar. And so I was told that if you're marrying a white person, not that there's prejudice against the white person themselves, but if you were to unalive, you're now leaving your fortune to the white community. And that's no longer circulating the Black community. And so that would not be pro-Black, because you're now not building up the Black community, you're leaving everything to this white person, right? And so then the question becomes, how stringent, like what are all of the parameters? How would we even learn all the parameters to be pro-Black? What if somebody's never heard that before, but they are really, supportive of the Black community? And I came to feel like, well, then, regardless of what it is that I am doing, I just wouldn't call myself pro-Black, because there's always going to be something from someone that disqualifies me, right? Like, oh, you didn't hunt down a Black toilet paper provider, then you're not pro-Black, right? And
your
so,
toothpaste ain't Black. Oh,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
You
so
got charcoal toothpaste right now.
I actually buy charcoal toothpaste as well. But anyway, but yeah, so it becomes daunting, because yes, then what are all of the parameters in being pro-Black? Because there are all these stipulations, and then each group that you speak to has a different stipulation that you may have never heard of. It's daunting.
I have a question, if you don't mind. If nobody else has a question, because
I was going to say something real quick. So I do believe fundamentally in many instances in life, perfect is the enemy of good. So if we obsess over this pure position of what Blackness is or pro-Black is, there's a problem. Now, everything is also negotiation in life, in a sense that there's probably some line that when you cross that line in terms of, I think we're talking in terms of economics here, but also the optics of showing your support of the Black community. There's probably some line. Is it 51% of what you do should be pro-Black? Is it 75? Is it 99? I don't know. That's perhaps for the individual to decide. Which leads me to just share, in my personal sphere and life, it's creating opportunities for Black people wherever I see those opportunities. So as an independent creative person, it might be, hey, I want to mentor Black youth and show them that there is an opportunity to be a creative person and be successful in life. Or it might be, hey, I have this extra 3D printer, I could sell it, but let me find a curious Black child who is interested, and I want to provide this opportunity. So for me, that's
There you go,
how I try
Kobe.
to do it. What is that? Curry?
That's
That's
my
shea
shea butter
butter.
right there.
Oh, shea butter. It looks like
Yeah.
curry. My bad.
Bruh. It's
What?
a shea
It
butter
looked
that
yellow.
you get off of
Well,
Amazon.
are you even pro-black if you don't know what shea butter looks like?
I mean, I know.
That's definitely shea butter. Shea butter, baby.
You
Um,
got me. You got me.
Oh, that's my
All
jam.
right,
Never
TJ.
mind. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, TJ.
It's about to get real black in here. Okay. Go ahead.
Like darkness. No, I have since we're here to learn,
Mhm.
SJ, I think that's your name. Please forgive me if I mess up your name, sir. You say you are
Miss
Mormon.
Spencer, but I go by SJ. I was Mormon,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, he was. Can you? I'm trying to say this with tact. Explain to me.
Go off, brother.
No. I'm telling you. Knowing I know the history of how that religion came about and how it feels about Black people. How do you how did you become a Mormon? I'm just gonna keep it like that.
I'll give you my simple answer. Have you seen the movie The Matrix?
Yes.
Yeah. I was born in it. Or as Bane said, you see, darkness is your ally. He was born into it. So I was born into the church. I didn't have a choice. I could tell my parents' story, but I don't want to overtake this live. I think an interesting topic as an extension of this, actually, Erica, might be religion and the diaspora, because and colonization, that's a whole thing. But basically, born into it.
But I'm not gonna host that one.
Because
I don't do religion
I'm happy to
at
host
all.
it if
Can't
you want to
stand
join. But it's influenced so much.
It has.
So much of what we've talked about is also the outcome of certain things. Anyway,
colonization.
TJ,
That's why
yeah.
we talked about the historical parts earlier: colonization, migration, the transatlantic slave trade, the sub-Saharan slave trade.
So-
Like, it's a lot.
Black people
So
may
many
not
things.
want to acknowledge this, but even an affinity for Christianity sometimes can be related
Yes.
to anti-Blackness, because
Most definitely.
fundamentally speaking, we had our faith traditions, our observances that we are so disconnected from, we have no idea. So we latch on to what has been given to us. Now, TJ, simple answer. My parents they joined. I was born into it. I didn't know any different till I was 30-something and then left. So.
Yeah, sure.
This is another form of erasure as well, because Christianity was not introduced to East Africa through colonization, specifically through the Horn. The Horn of Africa, specifically Eritrea and Ethiopia, were actually Christian even before Europe was Christian, because a Syrian I forgot his name, Frumentius or something like that, Syrian Christian who moved there and brought the religion with him. The same way East Africa was also Muslim before a majority of the Arab countries were Muslim, because the apostles of the Prophet Muhammad also went and fled to East Africa. So when we do talk about the introduction of religion, it's very important to know that religion wasn't introduced through colonization not introduced through colonization in all parts of Africa.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great live for Kobe to host. Kobe and Athena. The same person, Kobe and Adorna. Go ahead, Adorna. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say it's probably a better way to say it would be to say that Christianity was a vehicle utilized to spread anti-Blackness amongst ourselves, as opposed to saying,
Yeah, because specifically with us, slavery was condoned by the Catholic Church here. The lie was told, and they used it basically to get converts. So, I mean, that's how it was introduced to us. But we know that in East Africa, like, isn't the oldest Christian church in Ethiopia?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So yeah, so we know that it definitely can. It is not can, but it is different there. But it's just for a lot of us, colonization is the way in which Christianity was introduced to us. Because I mean, without colonization, we still be worshiping the Orishas. But Well, I wanted to ask a question, guys, and I hope I don't forget it. Oh, because we're on this app, we're using social media to actually have this conversation. How can we continue to use social media to like leverage these connections so that, you know, we can spread the message of like unity and understanding amongst ourselves? Like how can we continue to do that? And Swan, of course, you can answer first.
I'm not gonna lie, I was like very ecstatic to meet Black people from other. I said this already, but it just is like a very heartwarming thing for me. But I think one example that I can think of is what we're doing with the Congo. So I go live together, funds to donate to the Congo. And we're able to do it in a way that's, I guess, lessens the amount of exploitation that some of these organizations and agencies would perpetuate onto people in the Congo. This individual, the person that we work with, he was a filmmaker and his content is very important. So, you know, I think that that's just a way that this is why I get so frustrated with like FBA and stuff like that. And why I think that Black people need to stop looking towards YT people to be allies. Let's talk about Black allyship globally. But I think it's very fulfilling to be connected to something like this, right? Like during Christmas time, we were able to raise $15,000 to feed all of the people that were living in a displacement camp called Camp Lockford. And it lasted for 3 days, the food. They were able to do a ceremony where they bring in like the cows live. And that, I think we got it done in less, I want to say like 5 days. We were able to do that. It just was very, very empowering. Like it wasn't just on the app and it wasn't just us, right? There were like many content creators that participated. But I think about that. If we could do that for each other more, what would things look like for Black people globally? Not just here in America, you know, not just in our home countries, but I think that global connection is something that we really need to lean into. Listen, some of y'all do get a little, you know what I'm saying? Like not on the panel, but I'm just saying like people in general, Black people in general, depending on where you are, there can be conflict because of, I think, last place anxiety or like the crabs in a bucket, like Adorno was saying before. But I think that we have to understand that like a lot of these borders are rooted in white supremacy.
Exactly.
A lot of our situations are rooted in white supremacy. And we have to, pro-Blackness would include a constant rejection of white supremacy, right? Just think about the things that we would be able to do if we could drop all of that. This is a utopia, right? But even if we were able to just like, I don't know, drop half of it, the things that we could do to connect with each other globally, I think that that's, you know, that's something that we were able to do on that app, which is cool.
And then also, how do we prevent a certain demographic from trying to destroy it? Because yeah. So that's that part.
I wouldn't even be comfortable answering that. Like I'd have to answer it offline. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, I say that's a Zoom call. But that is what was I going to say? Fudgesicles. I lost my train of thought. Does anyone else want to? This is what I was going to say. Anyone have any experience in organizing? You can message me if you want to, but organizing. I'm not going to do, you know, the anti-Black thing and say that no one up here knows what it's like to, you know, organize anything. I'm going to ask, does anyone have any experience in organizing? And if you do, like reach out, because I think this is something that we need to dive deeper in, and we have so much knowledge, so much education. I think you're Adorno for getting it. And so much like education that we could provide, you know, amongst ourselves, so that we can unify and grow. I don't think it necessarily has to happen like the conversations that happen behind closed doors, you know, the room where it happens have to be public, but the outcome can be public. So like, yeah, if anyone has that, like, I would love to talk and see like how we can move forward, because it's really important to me. It's something that as I grow in my old age, you know, coming into, you know, my later years, it's like something that I really, really want to explore and build a foundation in. So yeah, and also it's time for my afternoon nap.
Thank you to the 21 people who gifted me. I appreciate y'all. couple of things I want to. Huh?
Yeah, how do you see that?
If you click on your gifts, it will show you all the people who would have gifted you or followed you, which counts as like 2 roses or 1 rose or something like that.
Oh, thank you, everybody.
Well,
Yeah.
I think everybody who gifted me, we appreciate it. Erica, I appreciate you having me up, honestly, because I love not have to be hostile, to fight. I'm trying to say this nicely.
I want you to relax your shoulders, TJ.
That's exactly what I want to say. No, seriously, like I hate getting to some of these places where I have to talk about fight for my existence and my rights to even have the things I'm supposed to have as a human being. So it's so comfortable to talk to intelligent Black people, Black women, Black men, Black femmes, whoever, because I love us. And I love the fact that we're doing this. And I'm so glad you had me up here. Thank you.
That's another conversation I think that we all should have, a conversation about intersectionality. We have to talk about intersectionality. That one, and I know that one and the religion conversation may be a bit testy. I'm definitely not doing religion. But if we have any tributes, by all means. But yeah.
Thank you, Erica. Like, this was a really, really good conversation.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God. Thank you, Adorna.
Yeah, thank you, Erica, for organizing this. Too. And thank you, Hector, as well, for moderating this. Genuinely, this was a really, really good live.
Just thank me. I'm going to cry.
Lastly, I just wanted to say, pro-Blackness is when your plants got names like Asada and Malcolm.
I know that's right.
Pro-Blackness is when you won't even eat vanilla ice cream unless it comes from the motherland. Pro-Blackness is when you won't date nobody who doesn't know who Patrice Lumumba is.
I know that's right.
Pro-Blackness.
See, that's the exclusion I was talking about.
Pro-Blackness is when you side-eye your own shadow if it looks a little too colonized. Pro-Blackness is when you made your group chat read Frantz Fanon before brunch. Pro-Blackness is when your phone autocorrects capitalism to colonial residue.
Ooh.
I just wanted to say that to be specific about pro-Blackness, but I appreciate you. I'm going to drop now to let you have your afternoon nap, but I want to give a couple examples of what it means to be pro-Black.
I appreciate you so much, Athena.
What if your vanilla ice cream got vanilla beans in it? That's Black.
Oh my God. If you before you go, Athena, I got to get the 240 people up in here an opportunity to do so. If you're not already following Kobe, by all means, this is one of her many accounts, but please follow Kobe. She's absolutely amazing. Follow Adorna, follow SJ, follow Swan, follow Nico, follow TJ, Hector, just follow everybody on the panel. All right. If you want to enjoy more conversations like this, you want to gain more knowledge, and also recognize that their labor is not free. All right. I that is my message for the rest of this year. Black labor is not free. I want y'all to know that. Okay.
I'm just saying this, and I love you, but my labor is totally free.
Goodbye, TJ. Goodbye.
Yeah, immediately.
Good day. All right, Kobe, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Erica. I appreciate you too.
Awesome. All right. Milk Dud wanted to come up for some reason. I don't know why though.
I just want to say that the vanilla bean slander is engaging in white supremacy. Vanilla is Black. Anyways.
Bruh.
That's true.
It's true. I mean, you know what? Also, I have to say this also. You know, if you support the Carter 6, you are very anti-Black.
Whoa. That sounds shady.
I couldn't listen to it. No, I was gonna say there's a quote by Denzel. I'm gonna paraphrase, but it's something to do with Black is not all that I am. But I've personally taken that onto me, and Black is who I am. Like, I don't have to be a certain way. I don't have to, like the stereotypical things. I don't have to participate on a specific level of anything to be Black. That's just inherent to who I am. And culture is evolving, and we're all learning, and we're all, as we discussed with food, right? We all have these ties to each other. It's fascinating. this won't happen, but it'd be interesting to have a big potluck of all of us. Hey, bring your food. Let's compare notes and see.
Again,
see
I
what that would be.
asked, instead of assuming that no one has any experience in organizing, I'm going to say, does anyone have experience in organizing? Let's organize it. Because you ask questions, you don't make assumptions. Okay.
I actually got a shit ton of you know.
God, here we go.
I hate to say it, but I mean,
Thank
no,
you, Eb, for
seriously.
coming up. Eb said they're gonna drop. Appreciate you,
Eb,
Eb.
thank you so much for being here, love. Have a great day. Oh God, what, Santana?
Oh, okay. No, I was just coming up to say that I'm thoroughly impressed. And I appreciate the actual live that you guys held. I know I was in and out at certain points, but every single time I was happy not only with the conversation that was being had, but the fact that this was a conversation that was held, right? I think that it really deals with the crux of the division that Black people face. And even more than that, a lot of things that a lot of Black people, I can speak from the perspective of being Black American, a lot of aspects that they don't really know about, and being told in America that other Black people around the world don't care about you, that other people around the world don't accept you, that, you know, you can't actually connect with any of them because you're different than them. And then being fed like some type of image online, on TV or whatever, of what, like, you know, how Africa was just a poor country, right? That everybody lived in mud huts, that people in Jamaica or wherever, Haiti, all they did was a bunch of voodoo, and it was like negative and evil. And just, we were all sold this perception of Black people around the world as a way of actually oppressing us and keeping us locked in, and trying to grow that tribalism, so that even when we were introduced to other Black people, there was a separation. So I thank everyone that spent time laboring today, and actually not only dispelling that notion, but actually proving that we as a collective, we're stronger, and our differences is what makes us more valuable to each other, because we have experiences that other people can't necessarily relate to. But when you get a chance to learn from those experiences, it makes you better. So thank you all for giving your time, energy, effort, and you know, just doing this.
I agree. Thank you, brother.
I just wanted to say I appreciate how articulate everyone has been today.
Bruh. So well spoken. So well spoken.
So well spoken. Yeah.
So well spoken.
Can y'all help me bully Erica into allowing me to say something messy?
Go ahead.
Nico had some though.
Right. All right. Nico, go ahead, and then I'll go.
I just want, I'm about to leave, but I just want to tell everybody, followed everybody.
Awesome.
And I love this panel. I just follow everybody. Just keep doing what y'all doing.
Awesome.
I'm about to follow you now, but I'm definitely going to join up.
You don't have to follow him. There's no point.
No, I love what the brother just said. That's exactly how I feel.
I'm not always so articulate, so there's that.
It's okay. I'll be on my hood shit too. It's all right. So
you might catch me cursing a few people out. Sorry in advance.
I will always be cursing somebody out. I am not sorry in advance as well.
You too, brother. I'll be the same way.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining, Nico. I appreciate you.
All right.
Appreciate that. Kobe in the comments talking about how she gonna cut me with Wakandan steel. That's crazy. So before I get to the messy one, I'll just say this. I'm gonna put my TJ hat on. When I hear Blaga or any Black person entertain the eating cats and dogs stuff, I feel just like TJ. That's where I'm like, because it's one of the laziest and most blatantly disgusting attempts at being extremely racist and xenophobic. And for us to be so susceptible to such a stupid comment with no proof, that's a hard pill for me to swallow. But in regards to my messy comment, because I'm Hector and that's what I do, To the mofo who was in the comments, who got up in arms about what Covey said in regards to being pro-Black means we put down transphobia, homophobia to our Black brothers, sisters, femmes, and all the such. No one cares. You're literally a part of the problem. Black is Black. I don't care what's between your legs, what's on your chest, what you think, what you do. Black is Black. That is not aligning yourself with white liberal ideology. Yeah. Freedom, civil rights for everyone isn't white liberal ideology. That's all.
And this is why, again,
see, I think that was tame. That was pretty tame.
You did good.
Again, this is why I cannot stand the tap dancing fools that keep on coming with this ideology. We are Black is Black, no matter what your nationality, sexual orientation. I don't understand this concept.
Still
of
Black.
I don't understand. I don't understand this need to downgrade another Black person because you don't see them as Black because of something they have personally they have personally gone through or with who this is part of who they are. That's my biggest problem with the tap dancer. They don't know their history. Bayard Rustin, Martin Luther King's right-hand speechwriter. James Baldwin.
Yep.
Nikki Giovanni.
Still Black.
Well, I mean, this is why I know that there's a lot of people that think like that don't know their history. And more than anything else, that pisses me off even more. Because you do not know the history of our people, not knowing that Black women are very responsible for the fact that we are here talking for today, and for the sacrifice our brothers made as well. Don't get me wrong, but we don't talk enough about the fact that Black women made sure that we were okay during the time period where we were suffering and going through suffrage. But yet we won't talk about that people of the QI community, LGBTQI community stood up just like we did. I don't know what this concept is coming from. I know where it comes from. It's called tap dance and white supremacist talking points. But I'm going to calm down and I'm going to step back and I'm going to let Erica finish because it'll be 2 hours.
Yeah, y'all not going Jamal me because Jamal was going to end his ending. His goodbyes took 2.5 hours last night. Y'all not going to get me. Y'all not going to get me. I got to take my nap. All right, Swan, I know you wanted to say something, love.
I just wanted to add to the conversation something that we talked about earlier in my life. I can't remember if it was today or yesterday, but it's really disappointing, but there are a lot of like 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds that are Black that are clueless as to what racism is. I hear them arguing the interpersonal thing, all of that stuff. And it's scary. I think that that's something that like we have to make sure that we're like paying attention to as parents, and not even just parents. If you're an aunt, if you're an uncle, if you are in proximity to a child, if it's somebody that you're mentoring, like there's an active attack on our true history. And that's been happening, right? For ever since racism was created. But I think that that's something like, if we're going to talk about pro-Blackness, I don't really hear too many people talk about parenting. I think it's really important that, you have to make sure that your children have confidence in themselves, right? When they step outside the house, the world is going to try and tear them down, right? But it is your responsibility as a parent to uplift them, to help them see their own confidence, to introduce them to their true history, to their culture, all of those things. I think that is something that we really need to think about. I also need Black people to understand, and I know all racial categories, they like spank their kids, right? But I'm only talking to Black people, but stop spanking your kids. I really think it is very important that you understand that when you lift up that belt or that chancleta, look in the mirror. Who do you look like? You're colonized, right? So with that being established, I think that is something that we have to incorporate into our discussions more. I think that it's very important that we understand how brain pathways are created in the brain. You constantly telling your child no, right? And listen, it's hard because there's a anxiety that we have. Like Esther, you were kind of speaking to it when you teach your children how to move in society. There is the anxiety that we have, right? But we also have to understand that like praising our children is so important because their first relationship with the world is going to be the one that they have with their parents, and that is going to set the tone for the rest of their life. So I think that that's something that we need to add into our discussions is how we parent as Black people, making sure our children are educated and loving our children and praising them. Because they're not going to get it from the world. They're not going to get it from the world. So,
Sure ain't.
but that's all I wanted to say. I'm going to drop down. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, love.
Of course.
I'm gonna drop down as well, Erica. Erica, again, thank you so much. Man, you don't understand how much I appreciate this. I see so much crap on this app, and I thank you for having me up, and thank you for telling me about this last night. And I appreciate you so much. And if y'all look, I don't do this usually, but if y'all ain't gifting her or doing the things you have to do, all the good things that you said, I'm sorry. This I usually don't say this, but this is well earned. Give her props and give her money. Give her goddamn money.
Okay. Thank you, TJ.
But seriously, I appreciate you and I love you and I appreciate you so much.
Same. Thanks, bro.
Santana, man, I'm so sorry about Lil Wayne and his last album, bro.
Oh, I didn't listen to it. I
told you that was shady.
I legitimately, I mean, I thought he was trying to, but I didn't listen to it. I knew it was crap. I mean, like I barely listened to the Carter 5 and I knew that was crap. And so the thing is like Wayne can put out a feature. Crap, yeah, I mean, I hear you, but you like you can exactly like you can try to make that insinuation, like, but we know like the drought, right? Dedication, no ceilings. Like we could talk about Carter 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like, come on. You know,
is the best
like
song,
father, like son, like all of
those. Oh
those.
my God, how we get here?
All that, sir, was just all that was high grade trap music.
I hear you.
That was awesome.
How did we get here? Oh, you have to understand, Santana is a super mod and he does abuse his powers.
I do.
Okay.
Actually, I just did that one.
That was you, Hector.
She need her nap, man.
Dude, I do need my nap if I'm gonna talk to these magas later. All right.
I'm out too. Thank you. Yeah, I'm out too. Thank you. Appreciate you bringing this opportunity. I'm gonna go have dinner with my little man. So
enjoy. Happy Father's Day.
All right.
Thank you for being here, SJ.
Absolutely appreciate you, man. Gave you a follow.
SJ's the best. Adorna!
Yay! I just want to say, don't let them gaslight you. The things that we say are happening are actually happening. So when they tell us systemic racism isn't real, it is real, and they don't break down these stats by Jamaican versus African American versus Haitian. They're happening to us all, and that should kind of unite us. So that's it. And thank you to Hector and Erica. Thank you so much. And bye. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adorna.
Bye, Santana. See you
Thank
later.
you very much.
Adorna.
Oh my God, this was so freaking awesome. It was so awesome. I'm going to contain my excitement. I am. All right, Hector, thank you so much for hosting. I appreciate you.
Oh, you know it.
Damn it, I was going to put Santana on the spot and he dropped. He gets on my damn nerves. I was going to say, are you sparring? Because if you're sparring, I want to co-host.
Oh, are you sparring tonight, Santana?
Are you sparring tonight, sir?
I guess I'll say my final thoughts here. Thank you again, Erica, for inviting me to do this. She could have asked anybody, but she asked me, so I wear that with pride. So that was pretty great. It was a great conversation, a lot of interesting things.
Yes.
Again, in a different
Hold on,
light.
Hector. I want you to be the last one to go. So, are you sparring today?
I felt like I was able to do it yesterday, and then I got the rundown of 4 guests: transphobe, Zionist, white supremacist, and then wife beater.
Oh my God, it was a lot yesterday.
Yeah, it was. And so I don't know. That was a lot.
Boy, if you don't drink some water, take a nap, and start sparring.
No, that was a lot. It was a lot. I ain't even gonna lie. So
I forgot it was sparring.
Buck up, buckaroo.
I saw the woman came up, the Jewish woman who said
Jewish queen, yeah.
Martin was a Zionist.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I got in the request so quick, and then I was like, wait, this is sparring. But I couldn't believe that, man. That Santana's life was crazy yesterday.
That was a wild one. I'm mad I missed it though.
Fucking insane.
I'm mad I missed it. I was in the movies, at the movies, I should say. And someone messaged me, was like, hey, if you're available, Santana has someone on his panel that I think you might want to talk to. And I was like, I can't talk to anybody. I'm at the movies. And then you were still talking to him. And then we found out the transphobe stuff. I was like, Lord Jesus, this shit's crazy.
I was trying to get Athena in to talk to the Zionists, but by the time she replied, I was on to the white supremacists. Like it was like
that was crazy.
What are we doing?
It was a lot. All right. So when you go sparring tonight, because I know you. So when you do, I'm gonna get in the request and cross my fingers.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. Bet. Thanks, bro.
Bye.
See you, Santana.
See you.
Drop some L Santanas in the chat. L Santana in the chat. Also, there is a poll going on right now in Dan's Discord, and I am currently winning. It's amazing. I am so much better than him. Go look at the poll. Scroll up. I'll find it and I'll respond to it. And I will I'll make sure, because I have to, it's a 24-hour poll, so it's still going. Here it goes, right here.
Like the main chat or something?
No, it's in the live chat.
Live
there
chat.
You go. Vote for me. There we go. All right. I just did it. Good. Yeah, I love y'all. I don't know who G Granny is, but G Granny, read the room. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, ma'am. I'm so kidding. Kobe, I don't want to have to mute you because I love you, but L Santana. There we go. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta meet that sticker. Okay, Hector, final words.
Fantastic live. Can't wait to do it again. I appreciate all the people who came up and shared their thoughts. But yeah, we need to have more conversations about coming together. We need to have more conversations about being careful that we're not perpetuating white supremacy, even to our own brothers, sisters, and otherwise, in our criticism, in our disappointment. That's a big thing that I struggle with. I'm quick to tell a black guy some things, but again, it's one thing to have disagreements about policy and all those things, but again, I really am. It is never okay to try and take away someone's blackness.
Exactly, and
Never.
I think that's why I'm able to talk to him, Hector, because at the end of the day, I realized they're still black. I love black people. I do. I love black people. I don't
And
just
she
like
has a
them,
lot
I
more
love them.
patience than me.
I do have a lot more patience than you do. So I love black people. So I think that's where it comes from. That's why I'm able to actually talk to them. And I don't know. I just love black people. That's it.
I had to check myself the other day. I realized something, and this is not good, but I have more patience for white MAGA than black MAGA. I do. I really do. Because I guess in my brain, it's you of all people, we're the most susceptible to this nonsense. We suffer the most from this nonsense. So it hurts more, in my opinion. However, I don't acknowledge the fact that, well, of course they think this way and it should be worse for them. I should have more empathy for them because they have less education and options for growth and all these things than the white MAGA. Like the white MAGA has very few excuses compared to the black one. So that's something I've been wrestling back and forth with, is like, I really need to have more patience, more empathy for black people who do align themselves with white supremacy, because in many ways it's really not their fault.
Yeah, there's a disconnect there.
Compared to the white one who chooses it. They choose it, whereas we're more so victims of it.
Exactly.
So that's something I have to think of. But on that note, again, thank you, Erica. I'm gonna let you get to your nap.
No, we're gonna stay together. We're gonna stay together because we're co-hosting this together.
Oh, bet. Okay, I was going to say, to all the people who said, L Hector, absolutely. I 6,000% agree with you. Love Hector. You absolutely should. Yes.
I like that. Love Hector. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us today. Everyone who said they would show up, showed up, and I'm so very thankful. Again, my message for the rest of this year is that Black labor is not free. Support your Black creators. Support them, show them love, gift them, hit them pay links, do all the good things for them. Also, thank you to everyone who tapped the screen, who shared the live, who sent a gift. You all are absolutely amazing, and I appreciate each and every last one of y'all. All right, this was such a great conversation to actually have. Everyone kept it cute. which made me so happy because that's the main thing. I'm more so about, I'm not about arguing. All right. And I'm definitely not going to allow Black people to put on a show for you. So there's that part. And my people know what I mean by put on the show. So with that said, guys, I'm gonna leave you with this as I do every day. I don't know if I'm going to go live later or not, because I do have to pick up Bubba because he's hanging with his dad today. Oh, by the way, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Yes. I hope you got the bit pork chop since someone took the bit piece of chicken from me earlier. I hope that you all got the bit pork chop, the bit piece of cornbread, something. I hope something.
That is definitely something I miss. I apologize. I have daddy issues, but happy Father's Day to
you want to talk about it?
No. Okay. To all the amazing Black men, whether you're biological, whether you're adopted, stepfathers, to all the Black men who step up for their children in any capacity. Happy Father's Day to you.
All the men who do more than just the bare minimum.
Exactly. Feeding your kids is not something you get a treat for. That's the bare minimum. So
exactly.
Special shout out to y'all doing your thing. I'm not a father, but I am a daddy. So happy Daddy's Day to me. Anyways.
I know that's right. Hector, why would you say that?
Because I ain't shit.
I now I've lost focus. This is all your fault. Anywho, guys, thank you all so very much. I appreciate each and every last one of you. Again, remember this: if you can't do something kind for yourselves, please do something kind for someone else. Hector, I don't know if you know it, but on the count of 3, say do.